Hi YouTube, it's Marita Joyce and I am back with another video. This time I'm doing another Bookishly. So I'm gonna open this up. I've had these building up and I have 3, so I'll do 3 videos on it. And look, this one's pink. What a pleasant surprise. Okay, so if you've seen my other video, you guys know that I get a subscription for Bookishly. And these come, they're supposed to come, I think, like every month. But for some reason, I don't get mine every month. They're a bit slow. So I get mine like every 6 weeks, maybe a little more. Anyway, I'm kind of getting bored with these. I'm going to be honest with you, just because I'm noticing that a lot of the books that are coming are not really books that I'm hugely interested in. However, I keep subscribing because of the tea. The tea that they send is amazing. This is spearmint. So, I mean, that's pretty, I don't know, a pretty normal tea, I guess. But some of the teas they send me are teas that I've never had before, and they taste spectacular. This one I think is just going to be a regular old tea, but the bags that they come in are so nice. They're not like the paper bags. They're actually loose leaf teas inside of like a mesh bag, and I really love that. So I know it sounds crazy, but I continue this subscription because I love the teas. So anyway, that's that. And this is what we have. These books are nice as well. I've started to use these notebooks that they send to make notes for book reviews, and also to make notes because I like to make notes and like to highlight and underline in my books. And so I use these to make notes. Like I do a character page so I can remember all the characters if it's a huge novel, and refer back, and I write details about the characters, just because I don't know, when I'm reading a book, I like to really get to know the characters. And so I make character pages, I write the details down, and I refer back, because sometimes I'm reading 3 to 5 books at a time. So I'll sometimes go a period of time where I don't touch that book. And a lot of times I do need to refer back to the reference pages and things like that I've made in my notes, because I like to have a full picture before going back into the book and starting to read again. So these little booklets are great for that. I've kind of gotten addicted to them. I don't know if I stop my Bookishly subscription, what I'm going to do about these little books, because I use these a lot. So anyway, that's that. And I always get bookmarks, which I really love. Like, what reader can have enough bookmarks? So this one says, I do desire we may be better strangers, as you like it. Act 3, Scene 2. And I don't know what that's from, but maybe you guys do. So, and then on to the book. Let's see what we have in here. I brought some scissors because if I keep plying on this book, I'm not going to have any fingernail polish left on my hands. So this is the little map covering that you guys have seen before. Okay. Odette, A Story of a British Agent by Gerard Tickell. Okay, yeah. I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I continue this subscription, because I don't really feel a whole lot of excitement when I see these books. Now that is a nice picture. Look at that. Okay. So there's a little interest spark. I love books that have pictures in them because, well, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I like pictures because they tell me so much more about the story. They give me an in-depth look into the story, if you will. So anyway, a lot of books don't have pictures like this in them. And I'm just kind of give you guys a look into this book, like just so you can kind of see what it's all about. I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't feel it yet. I get the feeling that I'm going to discontinue this subscription, because I feel like books are so important and they're such a huge part of my life. I don't want to be reading books I'm not interested in. I just don't. I don't want to spend time with books that don't interest me. Now, y'all know I did the Read Harder Challenge, and I posted a video on the Read Harder Challenge. And that Read Harder Challenge is about stepping outside of my comfort zone, because you guys know I'm mostly a non-fiction reader. Like mostly. Like the books that I read the most are non-fiction books. And prior to like just a few years ago, I did not have a huge, a lot of experience with reading fiction. So fiction has become a huge thing for me now. Like all my bookshelves are filled with lots and lots of fiction books, because that for me is stepping outside of my comfort zone, because my comfort zone and my love of books is in the nonfiction realm. So I think I'm doing great in that, because I probably have over 100 books now that are fiction. So I'm proud of myself for that, but I still haven't really gotten into books like this as much as I probably should. And it's I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, so that's that. And this Bookishly subscription was about that. It was about trying new teas, and it was about trying books that I wouldn't normally read. But like I said before, I think reading is, one, so important to me and such a huge part of my life that I don't want to waste it. I only have a limited amount of time on this earth. I don't want to waste it reading books that I don't even enjoy. And secondly, I think that what was I going to say? I completely forgot my thought. I hate when that happens. Think about it for a second. I was so deep into that thought that it just left me. I don't know. It'll come back to me in a second. So anyway, the subscription is probably going to be discontinued. It's not very expensive. It's only like 13 bucks a month, something like that. So it's not a whole lot of money, but it's not about the money. It's about the time. I don't have the time to read books that are not interesting to me, or that I don't feel like I'm gaining something from, which is why I'm such a huge lover of nonfiction, is because nonfiction, I'm always learning something. So I have this obsession with reading, and I have this obsession with learning. So I spend about 75% of my day reading. It doesn't matter if it's school books, it doesn't matter if it's Quora, it doesn't matter if it's newspapers. Like all day long I'm reading, and mostly on my iPhone, and then at night I read a book, and if I'm on the John, I read a book. So I'm always either with a book in my hand or with my cell phone in my hand, and I'm always reading. I don't really know why I have to read all the time, but it's just something that I have to do. It's like kind of the way you have to breathe. Like if you held your breath right now, and after a while your body's like, yeah, we're going to breathe. We're going to breathe. And you need that air. That's the way I need to read. And so I spend much of my day, every day of my life, reading. I just do. I have to. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I might watch a YouTube video, and then I start reading. And from the point I wake up in the morning, which is usually between 5 and 7 a.m., I'm reading. And in the afternoon, I might take a nap. And of course, you guys know I'm in school. So of course, I'm reading school books as well. So not as much reading books for enjoyment when school is in, because I'm reading school books, but I'm still spending the majority of my day reading. And it goes all day long. In the evening, I read. And then at night before bed, I usually fall asleep to a book. And so I have an insatiable need for knowledge, and I just need to know, and books are the best way to know. I think it stems from my childhood. When I was a young girl, I would ask a lot of questions. It was why. You know how 4-year-olds are in that why stage? Well, I stayed in that stage for a very, very long time. And I don't know if it got to the point where my mother couldn't answer any of those questions anymore, or whether she was just sick and tired of the why questions. But I distinctly remember her a lot of times. It was extremely frustrating to me after a while. She stopped answering my questions. Like, she literally just stopped answering my questions. And she would just calmly look at me and say, Marita, whatever you want to know is somewhere in a book. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Just answer the question, you know? And I wanted quick information. I wanted it fast. And my mother was a pretty smart lady, so I figured I could get it from her. I would always be asking her questions. She just got tired of it one day, and she just stopped answering my questions. And it was the best thing she ever did for me, because that sparked my desire to read. But I don't think the obsession with reading started there. I think the interest in getting the knowledge started there. She kind of just pointed me to, like, okay, this is where the knowledge is. This is where you get it. I think the real obsession with reading started as a little girl. I remember not being able to read. My niece, who is older than I am, so I'm thinking at the time she was a teenager, preteen maybe. She was lying on a bed reading a book. I will never forget it. I was young. I know that I was young enough not to be able to read. I was a small child. And I climbed up on the bed where she was because I was so interested in what had her on this bed for so long. Like, what was she doing? I climbed up on the bed, and she was holding a book, and she's lying on her chest holding a book. So there was two questions I had. The first question was, does it hurt to lie on those? And basically, I was talking about her breasts. Now, mind you, I was a very small child, but it just seemed to me that she had these balls on her chest that it would be painful to be lying on top of those. She answered that first question. No, it does not hurt. So then the next thing I wanted to know is what she was doing. I said, what are you doing? And she says, I'm reading. And I said, let me see that. And so she put the book in front of me, and I remember looking at it, and nothing on the pages made sense. It was like looking at Japanese for me. And I remember thinking, I need to know what is in that book. What is that she's reading? And so I started getting books, and I would try to teach myself to read the books, basically was what I was doing. I'm not sure if I'd gone to kindergarten yet, or if I'd even gone to school. I don't know. I just know I was so young that I couldn't read. I remember distinctly not being able to understand what was on the pages. And I just had to know what was on the pages. Soon after, I remember being able to read. I don't know if I taught myself to read or how that happened, but I remember soon after that being able to read. And I wasn't a reading fanatic, but as I got older and I started to have more questions, and it seemed to me as if either people were not able to answer my questions or they were just sick of me. I don't know. Probably just sick of me asking so many questions. I was asking an unusual amount of questions. I was asking questions that probably a child at my age shouldn't have been, because I remember my mom telling me a couple of times, like, you know, you shouldn't be, Marita, you shouldn't be thinking about that kind of stuff. These were like existential questions. And she told me one day, she said, I'm really worried that you're not being a child. Like, you need to just be a child. Like, you shouldn't be thinking. She was really redirecting me because the questions I was asking were existential questions. They were questions about life, about death. They were really deep questions that I guess any parent would be kind of worried if their young child was asking those kind of questions. And I wanted to know these things at such a young age. And I remembered being frustrated that people couldn't answer those questions. They could not give me a yes or no. They couldn't give me a black or white answer to those questions. And so after a while, my mother started pointing me to books. So more and more she encouraged me to read. And I found that a lot of the questions I had, they were in books. And I would find the answers to questions that people couldn't give me in books. And so I just naturally built a desire to read books. And it became pretty much all I wanted to do all the time was read. I'm not a very fast reader. I wouldn't consider myself like a great reader or even, really good with language. But it's something I love to do. And so I'm sorry, but I'm going all off, which I tend to do. I'm rambling, but I'm saying all of this to say this is why I don't really think that having this book subscription is beneficial for me, because like I said, I have such a huge desire to learn and to know and to grow, and the interest is just not there in these books. So what I'll do is I will try to find another subscription that is more my style. It doesn't necessarily have to be a non-fiction subscription, which would actually be really nice, but it definitely has to be something that when I open that box, I'm like, I feel excited about it. The kind of the way I feel when I enter a bookstore. When I enter a bookstore, there's almost like an otherworldly type of excitement. And it can be the same bookstore that I go to every day, all the time. Each time I enter that bookstore, it's like the first time, and I feel so excited. I think the point I was going to make earlier, and I forgot that point, was there's so many books in this world. They're constantly coming out every day. And I have this crazy fear that I'm never going to be able to get to them all. And I know I won't. There's just way too many books. I'll die before I can read all the books in the world. I can't read all of them. But I have this fear that I won't get to the ones I really need to get to before I'm either too old to be able to read and see, or before I die. And so I just can't waste my time. And I know that this is somebody's pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I know that. I'm sorry if you love this book or whatever. I'm really not trying to be mean here, but I just can't be wasting my time on stuff like this if I'm going to get to that number, or I'm going to be satisfied. Like on my deathbed, the last thing I want is to feel like there was, these books that were so important to me to read and I didn't get to them. And I know there will be some that I want to read, but by the time I'm there, I know this sounds silly, I want to have read the books that were the most important for me to get to. And so I'm not going to live 1,000 years. That's fact. So I need to hurry up and get to those books. I need to get going. So I'm not going to waste my time on books like that. And plus, I don't want to talk to you guys about things that aren't exciting about books to you. That things that you would be interested in. I don't want to have that face like opening up a Bookishly, like, and it's like, why are you even making this video? If you're not excited about this book, what makes you think we're going to be excited? So that's kind of how I feel. And that may not be how you guys feel, but I value you guys. I value you guys' time watching these videos, and I don't want to waste your time with things that I'm not excited about. Because if you're going to make a video, you should actually be excited about what you're doing. All right, so I think you guys got me. I'm going to stop rambling now. But yeah, so the Bookishly subscription will end. I don't want it to be a surprise to you guys. It's going to stop eventually. I don't know when, but I will stop it. And then we'll move on to something more exciting. If you guys have any suggestions for book subscriptions for me, please, 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 by all means, leave them below in the comment section and let me know, because I would love to check out some of the things you guys are either reading, or book subscriptions, or anything interesting that you think would be great to make a video about. I would love that. So, okay, I'm leaving now. I will see you guys on the next video. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and see you guys on this video. Bye.